that day. I went to work late. And again, I really believe that there was a mission for me that day, because if I was there at the regular time, at 8 o'clock, I would have been at the top of the building, at Windows of the World, and I would have died. So I came in late, 8:30 in the morning. I'm on the basement. The building has 6 sub-levels of basement, B1, B2, B3, all the way down to B6, 6 sub-levels. On the B1 level, you have all the support companies for the company that dealt with the World Trade Center. Mine was ABM, American Building Maintenance. Now, that company actually have the structural contracts, has the painter contracts, they have the mechanical contracts. So our office was on the B1 level. As I was talking to a supervisor, at 8:46, we're like chit-chatting, and all of a sudden we hear, "Pa!" Very strong. Boom! An explosion so hard that pushed us upwards. Upwards. Now, 20 years in the building. Remember that. And it came from the basement, between the B2 level and the B3 level. And at that moment, I thought it was the mechanical room, where they have all the pumps and the generators for the building, that maybe a generator just blew up on the basement. Now, 20 years in the building, you know something that comes from the bottom and something that comes from the top. At that moment, everybody started screaming. And it was, the explosion was so hard that all the walls cracked, the false ceiling fell on top of us, the sprinkler system got activated, and when I went to verbalize that it was a generator, we hear, boom, all the way on the top, the impact of the plane on the top. 2 different events, 2 different times. Later on, I thought that they probably didn't synchronize it well. Because that came out on the investigation, that probably this explosion was to weaken the base and the foundation of the building to be synchronized with the heat on the top, so it will fall automatically, which it didn't. Now, when that happened, screams everywhere. A person comes running into the office saying, "Explosion, explosion, explosion." His hands were extended, and his skin was pulled from under his armpits all the way to the top of the fingertips, and it was hanging on both hands. And I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a piece of clothing. And then I realized it was his skin, and I said, "What happened? What happened?" And when I look at his face, finally, he got missing pieces of his face. A black guy named Felipe David from Honduras, who I didn't know. He worked for Aramark, the company that put all the soda machines into the machines, the candies into the candy machines. And he was located on the B2 level when this explosion happened, and he put his hands to cover his face because there was fire. And that's how he got burned.
We heard a massive explosion that was in the World Trade Center at about 8:46 a.m. in the morning. The explosion came from, I believe, at first we believed that it came from the mechanical room. And then we heard a series of other explosions that sounded up on the above levels of the building, to where we then realized that there was something wrong and there was a major problem. The amount of explosions I've heard from 8:46 to the time we get out was so many, at least 10. It was just like multiple explosions, to where I felt like there was different grenades. That's what it sounded like. It was just different grenades being set off, like, in the building. It was like, there was one major explosion, and then there was different explosions throughout that period of time until we got out.
I was in B tower. A tower.
What floor were you on?
B1. What floor?
The first one.
What happened? Tell me.
When a big explosion happened, some guy came out. His skin was all off. I helped him out. This is him all over. There's people jumping out of windows. I've seen at least 14 people jumping out of windows. It's horrific. I can't believe this is happening.
As I'm walking by the main freight corridor building, in the corridor, that's when I got blown. I mean, the impact of the explosion threw me to the floor, and that's when everything started happening. All of a sudden, a big impact happened again, and all the ceiling tile was falling down, the light fixtures were falling. You know, you got to go clear across the whole from 1 to 2 World Trade Center, and then all of a sudden, it happened all over again. Something else hit us to the floor. Right in the basement, you felt it. Walls were caving in, everything that was going on. I mean, I know of people that got killed in the basement. I know of people that got broken legs in the basement. People that got reconstructive surgery because the walls hit them in the face.
Okay, so tell me how you're feeling. How did you get there? What happened to you?
I worked for the Trade Center, one of the carpenters, and I was going to go do a job. And I got on the elevator, and the freight elevator, and I heard the first explosion, and the elevator blew up, the doors blew up, and it dropped. And I was lucky that the elevator got caught in between 2 floors.
Which floors?
The B levels, the basement levels,
right,
where all the all the mechanics are.
Right.
I was in the B4 level. I was assigned to the B3 level, but I had to do something in the B4 sheet metal shop. So I went in the sheet metal shop, do what I had to do, and on my way, I heard a bomb. So I says, probably the transformer again blew up. So I stepped back, finished what I had to finish, and I started towards the door again. And there come a big blast with a big ball of fire. And that's when I got hit.
Engineer Mike Pecoraro in the 6th sub-basement found the parking garage and machine shop reduced to rubble. Rescue firemen and civilians spoke of hearing explosions throughout the towers. Firefighter Lou Caccioli told People magazine that as he and others evacuated workers, bombs were going off inside the building.